All right, Pastor Ron, in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, I mean, the book's talked a lot about life, a lot about death. In chapter 9, in light of the uncertainty of this life, the preacher, the sage, promotes living life to the fullest. And in other words, he talks about one's eating, drinking, working, and relationships. How is this exhortation different than a well-known atheist creed? You have exactly one life in which to do everything you'll ever do. Act accordingly. Or is the sage saying the same thing the atheist creed is saying, or how similar?
That's so interesting, because in some ways the Christian and atheist at that point would live similarly, in
Sure.
the sense that this is the only life, not that we'll ever have, but the only life we'll have here.
Right.
So the preacher is trying to show the urgency of using life and living life and enjoying life now. So in some ways, unless there were immoral ways, and lots of atheists are moral in some level,
Sure.
and just a civil righteousness level, and so there might not look a lot different in the urgency of the time. There's much urgency talked about in the preacher's mind. We must do this now, and he gets to that in chapter 11, latter part of chapter 11, that while you're young, while you have the time, serve the Lord, rejoice in things, and remember Him. So in some ways, it might not look a lot differently, but it certainly will look a lot differently as far as why we're living, and that we're as Christians, we're living now for the glory of God and not for the glory of ourselves. And we're serving others because Christ has served us. And so the motivation will be quite different than the atheist. But the actual living of life and enjoying life might be very similar at times.
Eating, drinking,
living
it up.
From our perspective, enjoying creation. And not in the sense of that's the only thing we do, or that
Sure.
It's we take Scripture, interpret it with Scripture. But that it's not wrong to enjoy God's good creation. And,
It's a big part of our day to day, right?
Yeah, it's not somehow unspiritual or less than Christian. And, we have these overtones of monasticism, and that kind of get into it, so we can't really enjoy the creation, or somehow it's wrong for us to do that. That's not true at all. And I think Ecclesiastes brings us back to that. And Paul talks about that in 1 Timothy chapter 4 and whatnot. But mentions enjoying and receiving things with the word and prayer, and that these are good gifts from God, and they're not unspiritual, but very spiritual to receive them.
And it'd be unspiritual to not receive them with thanksgiving or to enjoy them as God would have us.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.